All right, guys, this week is all about applications. So let's be honest, at least once a week this year, and I'm sure you've thought it at least a billion times in your math class. Ugh, when am I going to ever use this? Well, area and perimeter are definitely two calculations that I promise you will experience and use in your real life. So maybe not immediately, but at some point in your life, you may be, for example, installing a fence, painting a room, reading measurements of a room size, buying carpet, installing new framing, resurfacing a deck. Now, those are kind of related to owning a home, but there's going to be plenty of opportunities in your life where you will use perimeter and area calculations. All right, so let's do a quick review of what each does and how we calculate it. So perimeter. Perimeter is, if you remember, the distance around a figure. So we're talking about if we're going to take a little walk around, how far would it be? And to do this, we would add up all the sides of the shape. So we talked about a couple standard shapes, we talked about irregular shapes, but again, the concept is the same. We are going to add, and I'm going to go ahead and change that and make this bright red so that we can see those definitions there. So again, distance around, and we would add to calculate it. Okay, area is the space of a figure. Sorry, it's the square space of a figure. So if you remember the figures that we looked at on our homework, a lot of times they're divided into squares, and we also made sure that we had square as part of our unit measurement. So it's the square space of a figure, the space inside. And to do that, we multiply. The operation we look at is to multiply the length and the width. All right, so before we full on start solving real world problems, let's just first make sure that we can identify what it's asking us to find. So if we're looking at real world scenarios, is it asking us to find the distance around, or is it asking us to find the space inside? So keywords for perimeter would be around, outside, the border of something, because it's not going to come out straight and tell you in real life, hey, you need to find perimeter. You're looking for keywords that help insinuate that. So again, around, outside, border, fence, framing, edge, rim, trim. There's a million words in the English language, but those are just some of them that indicate you're looking at the distance on the outside, distance around a figure. Keywords for area when we're looking at the space inside of a figure would be, now you may hear total area, every once in a while area is thrown into real life, tiles, square units, to cover the face of an object. If you're looking at covering the space, you're looking at the part inside, cover an entire area. Those are some of the kind of keywords or wording that you might experience. So taking a look at some examples and seeing what we would need to find. Actually, let me see if I can put this to the back so that we can still see our definitions. Okay, so if you're buying gutters for around your porch, area or perimeter. So think gutters are what, again, are on the outside of your house. So they're just looking at the distance around your house. So that would be an example of perimeter. Tiles for your basement. So again, if and I want you to envision what is actually happening. So imagine yourself laying tiles or look at tiles on your flooring if you have them. Are you looking at the distance around the room, or am I looking at the space inside of the room? Hopefully you are thinking area. If so, you're correct. So we're looking at the space inside. All right, fencing along the edge of your yard. Fencing along the edge of your yard. Hopefully you saw that keyword of along, and you can imagine the fence. It just goes around the distance of your yard. It doesn't actually cover everything. It's just around the edges. So again, that would be an example of perimeter. So I'm going to give you a quick minute. You can go ahead and pause if you want to try the ones on the bottom, and then unpause me and catch up and see if you get the right answers. Okay, unpausing. Hopefully you're ready to see if you've nailed these ones on the bottom. So if you're painting a bedroom wall, you're looking at covering the entire wall and the space inside. So this would be an example of area. If you're putting grass seed on your backyard, so you're walking around your yard, shaking the grass seed bag, you are not just going on the outside, you're getting everywhere, the area, the space of your figure. So that would be another example of area. Reframing a doorway. So reframing a doorway is just the stuff on the outside that goes around your doorway. So you're looking at the distance around, also known as perimeter. Adding blue ribbon to the edge of a blanket. So hopefully you saw that keyword of edge. You are not doing the entire blanket in ribbons, just around the edge. So that's the perimeter calculation. Putting baseboard around a room. Again, the keyword there is around. You're putting baseboard only on the edge, the distance around your shape, your room. So that's another example of perimeter. So hopefully you feel a little bit more solid in choosing which kind of calculation you're looking at. Because again, it's not going to come out most of the time and straight up tell you. You have to kind of know the definitions of area and perimeter and how you calculate those. All right, so today's task is I'm going to give you several task cards that describe real life scenarios, and they're going to ask you which would you use, perimeter or area. So kind of like we just did highlighting, you're going to take a look and see on your own, can you identify successfully which ones use area and which ones use perimeter. So there's going to be 12 cards labeled A through L, and I want you to tell me on the attached worksheet, I'm going to give you some space to type it out, but to identify which you would use. And then once you submit your answers, I will correct them and provide you with the answers so that you're able to begin working through those problems to solve. So let's take a look at the examples. We'll take the first two cards together so that you're confident in what I'm asking for you to do. Okay, so here's card A and here's card B. And again, they're just scenarios. And I want you to read through and tell me area or perimeter. So card A, Danny has a rectangular rose garden that measures 8 meters by 10 meters. One bag of fertilizer can cover 15 meters squared. How many bags will be needed to cover the entire garden? So I want you really to visualize what's going on. We're walking around and Danny is putting fertilizer everywhere on his garden. Hopefully you should be able to realize that we're talking about the surface inside his entire garden. So this would be a problem where we're being asked to calculate area in order to solve. Okay, taking a look at card B. A cyclist bikes the same training loop every day. So he starts on Lotus Street, turns right. And I apologize, I don't know why my map isn't showing up here, right? But he starts on Lotus Street, then he's going to turn right onto 4th Street, down on Pine Street, back to 3rd Street, and finally back to his starting point. So he is traveling in this little rectangle area, just like that. There he is biking. How many miles will he do in a week? That's the question I'm trying to solve. So based on that question, hopefully you should realize he is biking just around the distance on the outside of this square. So this would be a problem where we would be asked to find perimeter in order to solve. So again, I'm going to be giving you 12 task cards, A through L, and all I want you to do is tell me which are area and which are perimeter. Good luck.